Here's my tutorial for how to use my budgeting template that I created in Google Sheets. Don't worry, it's very simple. Starting at the money flowchart tab, this is just where I show you how I organize my money. So with the direct deposits, I have those going to my credit union and Capital One, and then I break it up into Ally Bank, Cube Money, Fidelity, and CIT Bank. The purposes for each listed below. The first tab I want to fill out is my debt tab. Here I can see my total credit card debt and then monthly payments and then my total loan debt and my monthly payments. So up top, I'm just going to put all my different credit cards that I have. I've got the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Chase Sapphire, and the Amex Platinum. Most credit cards give you a monthly minimum payment, so even if I plan on paying the bill in full, I'm just going to put that minimum payment amount in there just for a reference. Then I'm going to put what my statement says and what my pending transactions are because the statement total is not actually the real total if there are pending transactions. Next, I'm going to enter my loan information. Right now, I have one loan, it's for my car. So I'm just going to put my monthly payment followed by my interest rate. Term length, I'm not sure at this point in time. I got ahead of my payments, but I'm just going to put 50 months because why not? And then my total remaining debt of $14,000. All of this looks good. I'm going to move right along onto my personal bills tab. This is where I want to list out anything that is just a reoccurring bill. So the Spotify, the Kindle Unlimited, utilities, rent, anything like that that is definitely going to be charged every single month and is like a predictable amount. I also want to classify whether that thing is an essential or an extra. I like seeing how much money I'm spending towards each thing, especially if I ever get into a situation where I need to cut off some of my expenses. I can just come on this tab and clearly see the things that I've marked as extras. On the left-hand side, I have those two columns that are meant for tracking uses, so you can put the day that the bill is charged and also mark off whether it was charged or not for that month. Of course, at the start of every month, those boxes will need to be cleared out. Now we get to do the fun part, which is listing out our income and breaking it up into our different categories. So we're just going to start with a classic payday, the date that we got it, and then we're going to put the amount. This is the kind of paycheck that a percent of it has already been taken out to pay taxes, so I actually don't need to put anything in here. These three columns are meant for side hustle income where you do need to actively set aside money for taxes, but if you don't need those tabs, you can go ahead and hide them like I just did. Since this is a biweekly paycheck, I'm only going to set aside half of what my personal bills are. And then I'm going to set aside $400 for spending because I give myself a $200 weekly allowance. So that means I need $400 from that paycheck. We're going to set aside half of the money for the loan payment. And then I'm just going to set aside the full amount for our hypothetical credit card bill. Notice how the credit card and loan have those little drop down amounts so you can see either the full amount that you owe or just the monthly due. And then as I'm filling in these amounts, the discretionary column is changing because the discretionary column lets me know how much money I have left of my paycheck. I like to work off of a zero-based budget, so that just means every single dollar that I get does have a job. Although sometimes I will leave like $10 in the discretionary fund, and that's fine. So I personally do get side income along with a regular paycheck, so I'm gonna go ahead and unhide those columns like I already did, and then enter side information. So like for example, content creation. I'm gonna set aside 35% of that to go to taxes. And then I do actually have monthly bills associated with my side hustle that I like that income to cover. So I'm going to slide on over to my bonus tab. So these are tabs that you may or may not need. Use them if you need to, don't use them if you don't. And this one is meant to keep track of side hustle bills. It's basically exactly like the personal bills, it's just a different color. Once that's filled out, I'm going to slide back over to my income tab and then I'm going to set aside the entire amount of my bills even though I know I have other like side hustle income paychecks coming. I like to get those out of the way because it is unpredictable income. And then I put whatever's left over straight into savings. Something that really helps me at this point is labeling which institution is receiving the money. So side hustle bills goes to Cube Money, personal bills goes to Cube Money, my spending money goes to Cube Money, investments go to Fidelity, my savings goes to either Ally Bank or CIT Bank depending on what it is. I'm gonna leave credit cards blank, even though I guess I could have put Chase/Amex. And then my car loan goes to my credit union. And finally, my discretionary money, which I rarely have, would go to Cube Money. Moving on to my savings tab, this is a great reference for what my various sinking fund balances are, especially if I'm experimenting with like keeping all of my money in one bank account. So I'm just going to list out what my savings goals are, starting with the emergency fund, then we've got travel, we also have a fund for moving, and then finally I have a savings goal for my dog. She has health insurance, but you just never know. Next, I'm going to put the total that I have in savings into that reality box, and it's going to automatically populate to show me like how much money do I actually have set aside for each of these sinking funds. Now, let's say I actually want to fully fund my travel fund and my dog fund like before everything else. I can go ahead and select fully funded and just check those boxes. So those funds are automatically fully funded, and then the rest of my sinking funds get updated balances based off of that. And then I do have like a date to goal column. This doesn't impact any of the formulas. It's just there as a visual reference. Now, if you don't like how the format looks, then you just highlight it and then you can do format and then you select a different way that you want the date to show up. So that's what I did. Finally, we're on to our last tab, which is the yearly tracking tab. This month that is displayed here pulls from the income tab. So if it's showing the wrong month, then you need to update the income tab. Do not override that one. So we're just going to enter in the month down below and then copy and paste these values up top. It's just going to give us the totals from the income tab. So every month, make sure to do this. Otherwise, you're just going to lose those totals. I was really bad about keeping on top of this one last year, but I'm doing much better this year. And that wraps up today's tutorial on how to use my budgeting template. This is something that I created for myself in Google Sheets, but it is available for download in my Stan store. Of course, you can always make your own budgeting template if you prefer.